Hi, I'm Brian Leroy Jones, Associate Marriage and Family Therapist. And as my patients can attest, I'm here to show you how you can find relief and get solutions to the symptoms and problems you're experiencing, whether you're 17 or 117, depressed or anxious, addicted, if you're having relationship problems, and even if you cheated on your partner and now you're trying to save your relationship. But why should who I am matter to you? Well, I'm going to answer this in a few moments, so just stay with me. And whether or not it matters who I am, isn't therapy kind of the same regardless of who the therapist is anyway? After all, isn't the purpose of therapy the same, which is to help you, overcome whatever's bringing you into therapy in the first place? Yeah, the purpose is the same, but no, therapy is certainly not the same from one therapist to the next, and not even across therapists who practice similar models of therapy. And this is why I believe it is important for you to understand a bit about who I am. You see, I grew up in a house where my dad drank a lot. Now, my mom drank too, but my dad was the one who would get drunk on my birthday and embarrass me. And not that either were intentional. And my parents fought a lot, and the more they drank, the more they fought, the more they fought, the more they drank, and it's kind of funny how that works, right? And being out in public didn't really matter. They'd fight right at the table in the restaurant, why oftentimes would hide in the bathroom, hoping and praying the storm would pass. Now, don't get me wrong, I have a lot of great memories with my parents, and I believe they did a good job overall. At the same time, growing up a single child in a house where mom and dad fought a lot and dad would drink, it was, very lonely. And there were a lot of times I was scared and by myself. And growing up, I didn't learn very good social skills. So making friends, much less keeping them, was really, really hard for me. And as you may be able to guess, because of what I just said, I was bullied from elementary school all the way, believe it or not, through high school. Now, fast forward to 2005 when I got married, which was a year after I graduated with my master's in counseling. And then in 2006, my wife left me. And what I've yet to tell you is I had suffered from anger and rage issues for decades. I battled with dependency issues for about 2 decades, which oftentimes, by the way, gets mislabeled as addiction. Also, when people would offend me, I'd cut them off emotionally. I was someone who was intensely lonely and insecure. Everything that happened in my life felt really big and overwhelming, and as a result, I had an extremely hard time dealing with stressful situations. So, I had a hard time with life. Life itself was just very challenging for me. And as if I didn't have enough problems, I lived a very impulsive life where, basically I would just do whatever thought, feeling, or impulse came up. And more often than not, I'd do so without even considering the consequence of my choices or, if it would really bring me benefit in the long run. Yeah, not things you'd normally put on your resume as a therapist, right? Hey, I can't figure out my own life or relationships, but let me help you with yours. Can we be honest? My life was basically a mess. And if it makes you feel any better, I stopped practicing therapy at this time. And as I reflect back on my past now, when I boil it down, what happened were basically 4 things. Number 1, I was automating. I was kind of bebopping around, not living intentional, making thoughtful, reflective, conscious choices. Secondly, I didn't understand why I was getting pushed out of my comfort zone. And beyond buying a bunch of stuff and coping through dependency to feel better, I had no other ideas of how to calm down and feel better. I didn't even know there were other ways. Third, I blamed others. I didn't take responsibility for the choices I was making. Why would I do that? It was somebody else's fault. I was the victim. And four, I didn't understand my own blueprint. And by that, I mean the behavioral strategies I used to help me get through life. I had no idea that I could develop better ones, much less how to do that either. So, basically, when I was stressed and got pushed out of my comfort zone, I'd get really stuck. And then I had a really hard time getting unstuck. So when my wife left, I took that as an opportunity to figure out why my life was the way it was and why I acted the way I did, why I made the choices I made. By the grace of God. And catch this, with a lot of intentional, hard work. Over time, so not magically, but over time, I was able to turn around those four things I just mentioned. How? Well, generally, first I began pausing and reflecting before making decisions, instead of what I used to do, which was letting my thoughts, feelings, impulses dictate what I did. And as a result, I began making choices, I felt really good about. Secondly, I was able to increase my resilience to the stresses of life and stay in my comfort zone a lot longer. Now, when I get pushed out of my comfort zone, I can get back in a lot faster. And more importantly, I can recognize when I'm getting pushed out of it and how to get myself back in it. And fourth, I began to understand my blueprint, why I did what I did. And I learned more effective strategies to help me live a life that was more fulfilling and enjoyable. But what does who I am and my story mean for you? Remember, I said I'd get to this. Well, if you haven't already guessed it already, it means when I'm treating you in therapy, I have actual real-world experience because I've personally overcome huge challenges in my own life. I'm not just using some theory or talking about helping you overcome something when I'm stuck and struggling myself. Look at me. If you're experiencing anxiety, do you want a therapist who struggles with their own anxiety treating you? Or do you want a therapist who's experienced anxiety and overcome it? Or for example, if you're having relationship problems, do you want a therapist who's single to help you? Or how about a therapist who has their own relationship problems they can't resolve? Or do you want someone who's had relationship problems and been able to solve and repair them? You want the latter, right? Of course you do. Otherwise, it's like going to a car mechanic. You can't even fix your own car. That doesn't make sense, right? Listen, I'm not perfect. Just ask my wife. Oh, I did get remarried a while back, by the way. But my life isn't free of stress or challenges. But catch us, even in the middle of the storms of life, I'm now able to live a life of ease that's enjoyable, peaceful, and fulfilling. To be clear, I can't help you get rid of the challenges life throws at you. No one can do that. But I do have success showing others just like you how to surf the waves of life instead of getting swept under by them. Hey, thank you so much for your time. I hope this has been helpful for you to get to know me a bit. And when you're ready to start experiencing a life of peace, fulfillment, empowerment, and more happiness, call or text me at 925-261-6688. Again, 925-261-6688. Or you can email me if you prefer at brianjonesamft@gmail.com. That's BRIAN Jones, JONES. A as an apple, M for marriage, F for family, T for therapy @gmail.com. And I look forward to speaking with you soon. Ooh, by the way, there's other videos in this series which you are going to want to watch so you can make an informed decision about whether or not you even want me to treat you. Make sure you watch them all before reaching out to me so you know whether or not you're going to get what you want from participating in my therapy services. Now, feel free to watch them in any order you want. It doesn't really matter. And remember that just like you, my time's highly valuable. And so just so you're aware, when you call me and I call you back, the first question I'm going to ask is not about what's going on for you, but if you've watched all the videos in this series. And if your answer is no, I'm going to gently direct you to do so before I'll speak with you about what it is you're looking to resolve or repair, before I'll answer your questions about my therapy services. Because, most likely, I'm going to answer your questions here in this video series. Take care. I look forward to speaking with you soon.